Good afternoon. I'm Thomas Hare, Chief Content Officer of the Performance-Driven Marketing Institute, a not-for-profit trade association that serves companies in the performance and direct-to-consumer marketing world. Welcome to the second event in our winter seminar series, today created by the PDMI's e-commerce council, AI applications creating success today. We welcome all of you to today's event, PDMI members and non-members alike. If you're not a PDMI member but are attending today, we'd love to have you consider joining the association. No better way to support the mission of the PDMI than joining and sharing your voice in the direction of the industry. In the handouts tab of your control panel, you'll find our PDMI membership brochure. I urge you to download it, flip through it, and contact any of our team members should you desire more information. One more housekeeping note. The group will be addressing any questions from the audience at the end of today's session, but you don't have to wait to ask them. Utilize the questions tab on your control panel to type and send your question in. We'll be collecting them and we'll try to get to as many as possible in the final moments of the webinar. You know, there's so much buzz about the changes artificial intelligence will bring to our lives, both personally and professionally. In performance marketing, there's a constant stream of reporting about how the future will unfold around AI. But what does actionable AI look like for today's D2C and e-commerce marketers? What are companies doing right now with machine learning technologies to make their services more effective on the performance marketing chain? Our e-commerce council chair, Gregory Silvano of Buyist, will lead today's conversation on these topics and more with fellow panelists Ranga, Bodla, Vice President of Field and Industry Marketing at Oracle NetSuite, Michelle Clayton, COO of Premium Media 360, and Ranjit Mulgaonkar, Founder and CEO of Flatworld Group. Let's get started. Greg, take it away.
Thank you very much, Tom. All right, so for the purpose of this conversation, let's take AI and put it into two different buckets, right? There's the headline grabbing AI, right? The sexy stuff. It's the ChatGPT's generative AI. There's maybe mid-journey image creation, Jasper, right? For blog posts, things like that. These are standalone end user applications that they put the power of AI into everybody's hands, right? The headline grabbing stuff is bucket number one. Bucket number two, existing platforms and applications that are beginning to roll out AI intelligent features. So for example, Amazon, existing application, adding AI. You have Oracle NetSuite, existing application, adding AI. Microsoft Copilot, you have Adobe, Meta, who are rolling out these AI features. So question number one, we'll go around the table, I'll go last. In terms of your personal experiences to date, and kind of what you see happening today and what's happening in the rest of 2024, which of those two buckets will have more of a practical impact on a D2C marketer's business? Okay, so that's the question. Should we be looking at, what should they be paying attention to? What is creating their success today? Is it these standalone applications, or is it more about these existing applications that are adding AI features? What should an existing D2C marketer be paying attention to have more of an impact on their business? And we'll start, just because that's how it's showing up on my screen. Michelle, which of those two buckets do you think will have more of an impact in 2024?
Yeah, so speaking from personal experience, I'm going to say the technology that's built into existing platforms, because that's what we leverage. We work with Microsoft. Much of our platform is built upon that. And I would say that I would see, certainly from an operations perspective within the agency or even the sell side, media sellers, I would see them leveraging that more. It's different to generative AI because you have a more tangible business impact. And I will say it's worked very well for us.
Great. All right, Ranga.
You know, I was gonna say both. I think this year in particular, and last year started this way, but I think I would say this year in particular, this is really going to be the year I think you're going to start to see more and more AI start to introduce itself in applications. You're going to see more and more like what's really just interesting to play around with versus what's actually going to make an impact.
Yeah.
And I do think we're now at the point, we're starting to get to the point where it's like, okay, there are going to be these use cases where I can leverage AI for something, whether it's around image creation or whether it's around just driving some efficiencies. And then you're going to start to see it being introduced, or has already been introduced, in more of these products where I can start to use it. So I do think it's both. I think the important thing for a D2C marketer, most importantly, is to understand what's there and what's changing. I think that's probably the biggest thing. I think regardless of which place it is, I think it's important for them to understand how it's being applied so they can look at it and say, well, what you don't want to do is try to end up spending a lot of money on a bunch of third-party applications that, maybe saying, hey, we're AI, you should use this, and it ends up you spending a lot of money, but you're not actually getting any benefit. I do think it's important to just stay ahead, understand it, see what's out there and what can actually be used, and then think about like what am I going to be able to use on an ongoing basis versus I'm just going to try and play. It's Dolly that I'm playing around with my kids just to generate some imagery. Can I actually use this to improve my business and drive it forward? That's
Perfect.
my thoughts on it.
Perfect. Ranjit.
Yeah, I agree with Ranga. The main reasons companies are going after AI. Number one, to increase the efficiency and productivity of the business. Second is to reduce the cost. And the third one is improve their existing business and applications and services. So standalone tools are actually useful to kind of create a proof of concept to decide if that's something you want to embed into your applications eventually. So both are important, obviously, but having the tools is useful to embed, create new features and functionality in your existing applications and services.
Got it. All right. So thank you. I'll go. It's funny because I'm going to agree with all three of you. And last week, before we spoke, I wasn't on that buckets bandwagon. I was about ChatGPT, and here are these amazing tools that people can use. And I gave it a lot of thought over the weekend after our conversation last week. It solidified some things I've seen in our own experience, and it just kind of put things in place that I hadn't really considered before. And I'll give just a use case with some fake numbers. If you had a thing that used to take you 2 hours, maybe with something like ChatGPT, it can get you down to 30 minutes, right? Or 20 minutes, something that is very meaningful on your business, but it's still going to take some time. And that's using ChatGPT. But if the application that I'm using has it built in directly, it turns into a button click, one. And it passes in the data and the information that I would have to tell ChatGPT in order to get useful things back out. So I would have to explain to it my business, what I'm trying to do, maybe some historical data, and I'd have to load that in and almost train it, even though you're not really training ChatGPT, but you're giving it some information. But when it's built into an application that you're already using, I think it turns it genuinely into a button click. And when it goes to a process that's that quick, it just lends itself to being used far more often, and that's what creates an impact on the business. And there's also less of a learning curve. If you're using Amazon and you're relying on Amazon, and Amazon has, let's say, an image generation tool, and that tool is built for e-commerce and for product shots, and it knows that this is a product shot because Amazon's already trained on that. I feel like that's much more of an impact than maybe being an expert on something like Midjourney directly. So yeah, that's my long answer. Is I'm agreeing with you guys. You changed my mind. I think that was good. Okay, so those are the two big buckets on where AI can live. So let's talk about the two types of AI I think that are relevant to this conversation. One is generative AI. It is creating things. It's creating, let's say, marketing copy. It is creating images or manipulating, those images. So there's that generative AI is our new bucket number one. And then bucket number two is the unsexy stuff. It's document migration. It's document, conversions. It's data manipulation or analysis and things like that aren't cool, right? But they could have a big impact on your business. So same kind of question, go around the table here. We'll start with Michelle again. Have you, so far in 2023, have you, your company, your clients used both? Are you finding that one in its state today, like the quality of results and things like that, is more impactful than the other, that maybe somebody should be paying more attention to this year?
Yeah, so funny you say 2023, because we did actually start really getting a pretty significant footprint with our clients using AI for practical purposes. And we are in the unsexy space, as you alluded to, but the very practical needed space. And so what we do and what we have found has worked. Yeah,
go
go
into
ahead.
a couple details. What is that space? So go into the details of that.
Yeah, so let me just give a super high level, elevator pitch without being salesy on what we do, and then I'll talk about the use cases.
Yep.
So we are, our company, Premium Media 360, works with agencies as well as sellers, and we work on automating all of the workflow gaps attached to a campaign that gets transacted between an agency and a seller. So it could be placing an order today, sending traffic instructions tomorrow, or it could be the seller sending the invoice to the agency. What we have found over time is that there are still so many automation gaps, not just with linear, but especially with digital. Ironically, digital media can be the most manual media of all, where there's so many automation gaps that still haven't been solved. That's where we come in. And so we've been using AI very successfully. We started in 2023 on the media seller side of the business, working with basic things like traffic instructions, orders that, believe it or not, are still being processed by these massive operations teams doing data entry. And obviously that leads to errors, which can lead to loss of money, etc. We have trained our model so well that it's producing excellent results. And now we're looking at, okay, let's apply that same success to the agency side, taking things like invoices and eliminating all those repetitive tasks. So it is about efficiency. It's about being speedier, because what we've learned with some of our clients is they're able to make quicker decisions. When you've got media campaigns that are moving quickly, retail accounts, movie accounts, this is a political year, things change very fast. So being able to process things in a quicker and more accurate way means that they can make decisions more quickly, which obviously affects the bottom line.
So you told a story about I think it was a client who owns local TV stations and that used to stay late. Do you want to expand on that?
Yeah, this was such a great story. So we met with a client who shared with us that since working with our platform and tapping our solution that leverages AI, he now gets 4 hours back in his life, which his wife is delighted with because she works a night shift and she's a nurse. And he said, now I get to go home and spend time with my wife and kids before my wife takes off for work. He gets 4 hours back in his day. So that was great to hear. But, the other thing we heard from that client is that these people that are doing these repetitive tasks now are shifting their focus onto more higher value tasks, which is great news for us.
Okay. Yeah, that's a big deal. All right, Ranga, same question to you. So there's the generative AI, right? Cool stuff. And then there's the data processing, the back office, the automation, that type of stuff. For Oracle NetSuite, are you dabbling in both? I mean, full in on one or the other? Or thoughts on that?
So we're looking at both. We're obviously in our products themselves. We're thinking about how we just actually in our latest release are releasing some new generative AI capabilities, and then also we've got a lot on the back end, kind of the more boring AI, as you put it, side of things. From how we're using it ourselves, I'd say we're more thinking about it from the boring side, to be honest, not the other side. We as an organization have we're being very careful about how we, particularly with our data, where our data goes, where that information resides. That's a really important thing for us, and it's something we share with our clients as well. Like, hey, the biggest thing and it actually comes back to the same comment that Michelle made about leveraging AI within the applications as opposed to leveraging a third party. One of your most valuable assets is your data, and you don't want to give that data up. So if you're already working with a provider where you built that relationship, you trust, you have a trust, and you know how your data is going to be used, that's very different than I'm just going to go and give it up to some third-party application and potentially go outside my four walls, with that data. On the other side, I think on the back end, on the automation side, we're thinking about it and leveraging it. There's more. There's just a lot of data about users and customers and potential buyers, and that's where we're leveraging some of these tools where AI-driven models that can help us. Hey, this might be a better prospect to go after than this prospect. Thinking about it from our past, really kind of thinking about things like machine learning, really building it out from that side of it. That's really been more of our focus in how we use it more internally as a tool, as opposed to externally. I would just add, one thing I think marketers have to be really careful about, Greg, is if everybody is using AI-driven marketing copy, AI-driven ads, all of that, it's all going to end up looking exactly the same. And
Very much so.
It's going to feel and look, and it's going to end up being meh. And
Yep.
So I think it's an important thing too to be thoughtful about how you use it. A might be sexier than B, but B might be where you're actually going to find value and realize benefit.
It's funny. Somebody sent me a blog post that they had done through ChatGPT, and the first word that the subject of the blog post was elevate your, and I was like, ChatGPT. Just the word elevate showed that it was a ChatGPT generated blog post. I agree. Yeah, the content can absolutely come through bland, right? It's just the nature of the beast right now. Okay, Ranjit. So same kind of question. There's generative AI. There's the back office type stuff. Is there, have you been playing around with both, one more than the other?
Yeah. We are playing around with both. We are a Amazon agency, so we help brands be successful on Amazon. But obviously, Amazon is not standalone. It's connected to Meta. It's connected to Google. It's connected to a variety of other third-party applications that are all now creating bridges into Amazon. So we're always looking at what else is happening on Google in terms of search, the advertising, what works for the advertising, and how AI can be useful. As well as within Amazon, we're looking at various different AI tools Amazon is providing, and we are kind of leveraging them for our clients. So both are important. One of them is more sexy, obviously catches attention, but you still need that analytics and data processing and automation to reduce your cost and improve your efficiency.
Yep, I agree with that. All right, so I'll throw in an answer as well. I'm a little of both. I'm definitely, with Buyist e-commerce platform, the generative makes a lot of sense, certainly on the front end. There's a lot that you can do in terms of marketing copy and SEO and things like that. So, and images, obviously. So I get that, and I definitely think that there are benefits there. Even if it's not the final result is through AI, it can help jog your creativity, right? So it can get you unstuck, and it can get you move something forward maybe a little bit faster, or maybe significantly faster than you could do without it. On the data side, I think what is going to happen, and I think the bigger the platform, the more difficult it is for this transition to happen. But I think what AI is solving is the way that you interact with very complex systems. So Ranga, Oracle is complicated, right? Clearly, NetSuite can get complicated, clearly. But instead of having to search through knowledge base articles and watch videos and kind of hunt and find information, that generative functionality, generative AI, be able to ask a question and get an answer back. And it's not just an answer from knowledge base, it's an answer about the knowledge base and your setup and your data. And I think that marriage is transitional. It's a big shift in how we deal with complex systems. And I think where we have things internally at Buyist, and I've used them to ask questions that are very, very complicated questions, and I got right answers that I didn't think of, and I designed the platform. right? And I know the campaign that was running, and it was really kind of posed the question as a test. Hey, what would it come back with? Well, that, and it came back with the answer. I was like, I didn't even notice that, because it's so complicated. You're dealing with so many things, whether it's different tracking tags and integrations and credit card processors and buy now, pay later platforms. There are dozens of things that are happening, certainly in the e-commerce world, especially, Shopify. Average has 9 apps that are running. Well, to have something that can actually go and give you the right answer, understanding you and your apps and your setup and your customers, that is a big, big deal. So the data side of it, to me, it's that data side. I think it's a little more sexy than just raw numbers or document management, things like that. But I think when it comes to, affecting a business, that's a big, big shift. And finish this thought that it's not an immediate thing right now. No, nobody has that. It's not, because it's really hard to do, right? Because these systems are so big and complicated, and obviously the bigger the company, the more bulletproof that result needs to be, right? And it's very difficult to get there. And actually, I'm going to keep expanding. Why not? One thing I've noticed with AI, and I feel this with the pace that people are releasing things, is that, and I'm a big AI fan. I feel that AI gets you 80% of the way there very, very quickly. It's this magical thing that's like, oh my God, we could never have done this a year ago. And look at this, we could do this with just, a few lines of code or a little bit of work, but it's only 80% of the way there. It's that last 20% that if you're an Oracle NetSuite, if you're a Microsoft, if you're an Adobe, you can't release it at 80%, because that's really, really dangerous, right? Well, actually, my next question is going to be about finance, things like that. So Ranga and Michelle, we'll get you. So I feel like what's happening is people are releasing the safer things, image manipulation, things that really don't, it's not about what you're going to declare in your taxes, right? It's more like, oh, is this product shot better? Can we change the lighting and things like that? So definitely interesting. So that was my answer. I'm going to go to the next question, and I'll go back to Michelle. You talked about efficiencies. You talk about saving time. So fire all your employees. We're good?
Not at all. No. Definitely not. No. That is not, certainly in our case, that is not the goal, and that's not what we're seeing. What we're seeing is that the users and the community within our clients that taps our solutions has definitely become more efficient, but they are still required to be part of the process. There are still decisions that need to be made that they need to weigh in on. I just think, again, it helps to eliminate the involvement in the repetitive tasks, but it elevates the decision-making that they make. It elevates their role to decision-making, and that's an important part of the process. So by no means fire your staff, not at all. No, just elevate them.
Ranga, same question to you. Is AI today require a human in the loop?
It absolutely does. I mean, we were one of the big messages we said last in 2023. In 2023, AI, definitely requires a human in the loop. I don't think that has changed. I think it is very much thinking of AI as a way to advise and assist is a lot of what we really describe, and I really think that's valid. I think you brought up an interesting, and to your earlier commentary about how it's being used and where it's it's bulletproof. I think it's just it's important. It's similar to like self-driving. Like still humans are in the loop on these things, and we might get there, but not right now. And I think and in certain functions, I don't think you ever want to necessarily just rely on the machine for that, because you want to make sure that you're checking it, verifying it. Can it help save you some time? Sure. Can it help drive some efficiencies? Absolutely. Can it help you increase productivity? 100%. But again, it's about taking the people that you've got and getting more out, as opposed to replacing those folks, or even in the case of finance, you may have headcount, but you can't find people. You can't hire for it, and leveraging not just AI, but automation, leveraging those things to drive efficiencies in your organization.
So Ranjit, we're going to hop to you in a second with, I want to dive into the Amazon side of things, but I want to expand on one thing with Ranga and Michelle. You both deal with financials, right? You deal with finance teams. Expand on that, right? So what's it been like to, are they accepting of this? Is it like, hey, cool, let's just go with AI? Are they, is there a lot of cultural, work that needs to be done? How reliable are these, the results that you're getting? I remember asking ChatGPT, and that's generative, I get it. If my run is this, my running pace for 1 mile is this, what would my marathon time be? And it came up with like 11 days, right? So, horrible at numbers. So when it comes to actual important numbers, which matter to D2C marketers, right? I mean, the metrics are where you're making your decisions on whether a campaign, continues or is killed off. Talk me through that.
I'll let Ranga go first because I keep going first. Ranga, I'm going to let you go first this time.
We're in the early innings, we were in an AI conference last October. So 5 months ago, or whatever, 4.5 or whatever, and they had on there, they had showed some data showcasing usage of AI within each department. Probably no big surprise, sales and marketing was at the top of the list, finance was at the bottom of the list.
Interesting.
And I think part of that is it can be used as a way to drive productivity and efficiency. It's not at the point where it can be used to drive efficiencies in the finance function. And so, this is where, on the marketing front, it can be used to inform, it can be used to reduce some time, it can crunch numbers, it can help on those things. But again, it's about driving efficiencies and productivity improvements, not necessarily replacing. Generating
answers, results.
Yeah.
Okay, Michelle?
Yeah, so I would say our experience is a little different. We are actually seeing money savings for the finance teams. Obviously, CFOs love to hear that. The solutions that we are building around AI look at one of our solutions actually enables the sellers to find mistakes and save money before those mistakes happen. So again, the CFOs love to hear that. On the agency side, one of our more recent solutions speaks directly to the finance team and deals with invoices that come in, that document conversion that I spoke to, speeding up that process. And, when it comes to reconciliation, what we've found speaking with agencies is the longer it takes, the more people forget what actually happened. So then it's a decision. It's like, well, what do we do? Do we just clear for payment based on this? Except, so it's speeding up that process and meaning that when the decisions are made, they're being made when it's fresh in people's minds. So it's more likely that they're going to make accurate decisions. In terms of the changing culture, we've experienced is initially there is a little bit of a lack of trust. There is a little bit of needing that security blanket. But what we have found, and I'm going to go back to that example that we highlighted earlier, this client that owns quite a number of local stations, the first solution we launched with them was a POC. It was so successful that they have said to us now they want to tap us for many other solutions that we offer. So it's full speed ahead. But they had to get past that first stage of, is this going to be accurate? And you said the 80 to 100%. We use this, and I use this analogy when we spoke last week. It's like somebody going into grade school versus coming out of college with a degree. That's how the model works. You train it and it gets smarter and it gets smarter. It will never be at 100% because you will always have new use cases, always. But the likelihood of improving to 90%, 95, 99 is tangible. It's realistic because you will get there, but you will always have new use cases.
Love it. It's great. All right, Ranjit, it's your turn to shine. We're going to talk about Amazon. So we D2C marketing, you know, Amazon is always, you know, a big part of that conversation. It just has to be. It's, you know, more important or more relevant is probably the best term. Year after year after year, especially retail has been really tough, and I think, you know, Amazon ends up, you know, taking up some of that you know, lost business that would have happened through retail. And Amazon is not exactly being shy about its use of AI. And tell us about, give us some info, things that you've used, your impressions of them, how they work. Is it something that a D2C marketer today should care about, or should they kind of wait it out and see if it's actually gonna, you know, have legs?
Sure. So I mean, Amazon's using AI everywhere. Obviously, they're using it for their own internal systems to make it more efficient and productive. For example, inventory projections. So Amazon has a lot of inventory in a lot of their warehouses flowing through all day long, right? And having that efficient inventory projection and making sure the inventory is in the right place at the right time is a huge benefit for them. So they are using AI internally to do a lot of the inventory projections to figure out where the inventory needs to be at what time. They are also using the AI to benefit the consumers. So for example, they are doing using AI agents to identify fake reviews. Amazon is very sensitive about reviews, right? A lot of people try to put reviews up there at Amazon. They think, hey, we can trick the system and put some bunch of reviews with friends and family. It does not work. It can actually shut down your account. So Amazon's using now the AI agent to figure out which reviews are genuine and which ones are fake. They're also using AI to identify fraudulent transactions. It used to be people doing it, systems doing it, right, Ranga? And now they are using AI to figure out which transactions are suspicious and identifying them. The other thing that they are doing for the consumer, the people like us, is they just launched recently the Rufus, the chatbot, right? So now I can say, hey, I'm looking for a camera, not quite sure if I need to get a DSLR or mirrorless. Here's my budget. What's going on? And the AI agent will now come back and give you recommendations. It's almost the next level of what Amazon recommends already, right? You go to Amazon and say, hey, other people also like this, or you may also want to buy that, or here are the other products in the same category. It's the next step of that.
Well, it goes in line with what I was saying earlier with dealing with a very complex system. You know, Amazon as a marketplace is incredibly complex. You have to manually think of features. Oh, I need, this is important to me, this is important to me, this is important to me. And if they don't have those maybe as filters on the side of the search, you have to go hunting for that yourself and comparing things. So that kind of bot would make a lot of sense.
The cool thing is also Amazon knows who you are, right? They know all your past purchases. They know what you returned. They know which reviews you wrote for the products and how much you like, which products you're subscribing on a monthly basis. So all of that other information about you and the question you're asking is going to be, now it's a beta program. I have not used it. I've been waiting for it. Unfortunately, some of these new programs are still in beta, but we will, at Flatworld, we usually get access to the early beta. So I'm hoping that we will be able to get into this program. But the one I'm most excited about, now that's the sexy part of the AI, is you know, the DR companies and the marketers are marketing products on Amazon, and they have to do Amazon advertising. Advertising is a big revenue driver on Amazon, multiple different advertising options. But typically you have to create your own ads, and the ad may just have a product image. Let's say I'm selling a coffee machine. So my ad's going to say, hey, buy my coffee machine, $39.99, 5-star reviews, whatever, right? And what Amazon is realized from their own research is, if you have a product image, and if you have a product image in a lifestyle setting, the lifestyle setting image gets 40% more clicks on an ad. And that's huge, right? 40% more clicks possibly means 40% more revenue. So what they've done is they've used AI to generate lifestyle imagery. So I simply go, and there's a demo on YouTube that you guys should watch if you get a chance. But essentially, I have a coffee machine, and I say, coffee machine I want to sell, and maybe I want to show it in an office environment. And within seconds, you will see 50 images with a coffee machine in a different office environment, people drinking coffee, people having toast, meeting room, or I can say Christmas, coffee machine or Christmas. So coffee machine under a Christmas tree, family eating donuts together. It's all generated instantly. Now, cool thing is, we always have done it before, but that means I have to call a studio, I have to get talent, I have to spend $5,000 to get 3 images, and now I can get unlimited images and unlimited lifestyle within seconds for free. So the question is, well, why is Amazon giving this for free? Of course, the $5,000 you're going to pay the studio now goes into your Amazon advertising. And Amazon makes money on advertising, and you sell the product, and Amazon makes commission on the product. So it's actually, and the consumer gets more, is more likely to buy the product. So I think it's a pretty win-win situation for everybody. But that's the one I'm extremely excited about, especially the 40% more click-through rates is really going to benefit our clients. One last thing, in the search, I believe over time, if I have a water bottle that I'm selling, just a generic water bottle, and if I'm saying my water bottle it has a beach related imagery versus my water bottle has somebody climbing a mountain, when I search for a beach water bottle, most likely the person that has a beach image is going to show up first because it's more relevant. Although it may be the same bottle, it could be literally the identical same bottle. One is a marathon runner, one is a mountain climber, and one is on a beach. So that's going to be very interesting for a brand. How do you brand your product so you can capture the most amount of searches? Obviously, you can go do a reverse search, look up and see how many searches you get on a beach water versus marathon. But that's going to be another interesting twist depending on how you use the images. So it's super exciting, and as soon as it shows up, all our clients will have a benefit of it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I noticed. I'm almost positive it was on Amazon. There's a summary of the reviews at the top of the reviews. Yeah.
That is an AI. That is AI based. They go through all the reviews, and they kind of give you a synopsis on, and it's actually interesting because depending on the number of views, it will say most people felt that this product was durable. However, some disagree. So they look at that 10% people that said that damn thing broke as soon as I bought it, versus the 90% that said it's still working.
It's funny when you talk about product shots. So we have a customer that comes to Buyist, and we've always said that the quality of the assets they give us are highly dictate the quality of the website that we're able to create, right? So good product shots, good usage shots, things like that. And just the concept of a good product shot takes skill, right? It's just you have to understand what shows this product in its best possible light. And AI, when used correctly, it's like auto tune for music. You could always correct vocals, right? They would be splicing tapes in the 50s, 60s, and 70s and putting them back together in order to get the vocals just right. You could always Photoshop an image. You could do that in the 90s. It was certainly possible to do, but it took a lot of technical expertise to do it. And all of a sudden you have auto-tune come out and everybody can sound good. You have Instagram filters or Snapchat filters, and anybody can look like a model.
True.
And I feel like AI, you take that product shot thing and it makes it instant for anybody. And you have something that's going to have a meaningful impact on a D2C campaign. That matters. It matters a lot, especially when it's somebody like Amazon. This isn't just some startup that's kind of thinking about, hey, we can do this. It's Amazon that's doing it, so it'll be there. So pretty cool stuff. All right, so next question. I'll go to Ranga. So 2023, full of hopes and dreams. You actually mentioned the Gartner hype cycle. So 2023, full of hopes and dreams. 2024 reality. I'll leave it at that. I'm not going to finish the sentence. Are we at a peak? Are we trough of disillusionment? You can talk through the Gartner hype cycle if you want.
Yeah. No, it's funny. So yeah, for those that aren't familiar, there's the Gartner hype cycle, and they look at technologies and they take them through, everything from it goes to the peak of enlightenment to the trough of disillusionment to the plateau of productivity. I said this to somebody once, and they thought I was making this up, but it really does exist, and it's it's from Gartner. It's like it's a respected source, and if you look at it, when they looked at the latest one around AI technologies, you see a lot of the AI technologies are either at the peak of or moving up that stack of to the peak of inflated expectations. And that was really 2023. Here we are. Is it going to fall off and go into the trough of disillusionment, or are we going to start to make progress into it? Look, I'm an eternal optimist in general. I'm starting to see positive signs in lots of different areas. Are we there with AI? I think it's a lot of what Michelle brought up. Ranjit brought up some great examples of what Amazon is doing. I think the reality is you're going to see in 2024, you're going to see concrete examples where AI, all types of AI, I'm not going to say generative versus others, but I think you're going to see concrete examples where all types of AI are being used to drive efficiency, to improve productivity, to drive revenue gains. I think you're going to see all of that. And I think, it's great. Some of the things that I was really excited, actually, some of the things that Ranjit was sharing about Amazon and the reviews and some of those things, because it's like sometimes you look at it and you're like, is this real? Did somebody really create this? So it's exciting to hear that there is actually they're using the technology in a way to vet out some of this and see it. Although some of these captchas are getting pretty hard. I feel like I'm not sure I can get past some of these captchas these days. So I do think I'm optimistic that what we're forgetting Gartner for a second. Look, as an overall market, I think who knows where we're going to be, but I think we're going to continue to see great examples and great success stories where people are using AI, using it successfully, and helping it improve things in their organization. Are we going to see any high-profile failures of AI? I don't necessarily think so. I do think there's going to be a balance. And I was actually just a couple of weeks ago, I was on a panel talking about AI for IPO readiness and scaling. And one of the conversations was people are starting to have the discussion, is AI even the right choice here? Maybe I just go back with the old-fashioned AI. I'm gonna put in an offshore call center to solve this problem, because I do think sometimes there's been people gotten caught up at, I got to implement AI for this, and sometimes the cost can be pretty expensive, and you may end up putting a solution in place that ends up costing you more in the long run than if you just had solved this with people or humans or whatever the case might be. So I'm optimistic for this year. We're going to continue to see more and more examples. Michelle, Ranjit brought up great examples of what they're seeing. I think you're just going to see that. You're going to see that go up tenfold, hundredfold. You're going to see a lot more of that. I think this year is going to be we're going to see some failures too, vetting out of some of the technologies. And it's like, what, that wasn't, that's not really moving the business forward. And I think that's what's going to be really great about this year.
Yeah, it's funny. I have a not a distrust, but it hits my radar real quick when a company says they're an AI company, right? We are the AI CRM, we're the AI whatever. And I firmly believe nobody cares. No, if your solution is, doubles your revenue and cuts your expenses in half, do you care if it's run by hamsters in a wheel? No, of course not. You don't care that it's AI. You might care, right, internally, maybe for scalability and efficiency and things like that. But I don't know any D2C marketer that's sitting there saying, it's converting great, sales are through the roof, but it's not AI powered. Nobody. It's not the solution, right? It's a arrow in the quiver type thing. Okay, so along those lines, I'll hop it over to Michelle. There are certain things that everybody at some point when you're running a business or you're running a campaign, you have FOMO, right? There's a fear. Am I ignoring something that's really big, and am I falling behind because I'm not doing this and it seems like everybody else is? If you are a D2C marketer in 2024, you're not on Amazon, you should be having FOMO, right? If you're a D2C marketer and you don't have your own domain, you should have FOMO, right? There are things that are just established. if you are in 2024, February 2024, you are a D2C marketer and you just haven't been paying attention to AI at all, how terrified should you be? Probably not much.
I don't think you should be terrified, but I do think you should be paying attention. And I think for some of the reasons that Ranga cited, which is, when you look at what's available today, there's still some fine tuning. There's a lot of fine tuning to be done, especially on the generative side, right? If you don't have the resources to investigate it yourself, or maybe you don't have the expertise, but you know a third party that is investing resources like us, right? Like the cases that Ranjit cited. Tap your partners, tap your business partners who are doing that. Because the thing about building models, you may have the money to build it, but do you have the money to maintain it, right? Do you have the money to train the model, to keep training the new use cases? So those are things to think about. But again, I don't think you should be terrified. I do still think it's early days with some of the technologies that are being developed, but I do think you should be paying attention. If you don't have the resources or the subject matter expertise, tap third parties that do and pay attention to what they're doing and what results they can provide for you.
Great answer. Ranjit, you're up.
Yeah, Michelle's right on. There is a lot of things that are happening in the industry, and marketers are more, worried about the product, the inventory, their retail relationship, their DR campaign, their MER. They don't have time to go do research and read through the articles and sign up for beta programs and test it out. So I think having partners that are constantly looking at that and then using the partners to get educated and decide which one of those tools and services and products that are being available by hundreds of companies would be beneficial. So that's what we do. Is we have a team of people that's constantly plowing through the new, not just AI, but any new technologies that are announced by Meta, by Google, by Oracle, by NetSuite, by Shopify, and find the nuggets of useful data that we can share with our clients. I think our clients are most of our clients are product experts. They're not really technology expert. They don't have much experience. So that's we supplement what they do and help them.
Perfect. Ranga, do you remember the question?
Go for the question again.
I have to remember myself. It was in 2024. If you are a D2C marketer, your business, you're running a direct-to-consumer campaign, and you're not paying attention to AI right now, should you be worried? Should you have legitimate FOMO right now or not?
So I think should you have FOMO from the standpoint of am I missing out
right
for my company?
Yep.
Maybe not. Where I think you should have FOMO and maybe a concern is, look, this is moving quickly, and the further away you get, further you're not keeping up to speed with where things are, the further danger you have in terms of falling behind. So I think particularly for marketers, that's why I say I think it's for marketers in particular, I think it's really important to stay ahead of what's working and what's not working. Because the reality is employers don't want, they want to know that they don't want their company to be the one that you're experimenting on. So if they know that there's 10 things and these 5 work and these 5 don't, they'd rather hire somebody that knows those 5 things that work and 5 that don't. I'm making that number up, obviously. Then hire somebody that's like, I'll just go try all 10, see which one. I mean, look, there's always going to be, you always want marketers to continue to experiment and explore, but no company wants to necessarily be the guinea pig. So I think that's where whether it's FOMO, I don't know if I'd call it FOMO, I'd call it's the danger of you've got to constantly kind of stay ahead to make sure that you can differentiate yourself against other marketers in the industry.
Great answer. All right, so
one quick comment, Greg. I think that the whole AI evolution is going to be almost similar to what we went through 10 years ago with social media, right?
Mhm.
For the product marketers, right? We were doing such a miserable job posting stuff on Facebook and Pinterest because we didn't know how it worked. And
Mhm.
those platforms weren't sophisticated enough at that point to actually, give you the benefit. So over time, I think a lot of the marketers have figured out that those platforms, the social media platforms, are actually driving traffic. You can drive traffic from Facebook, from Instagram, straight into Amazon with one click. I mean, those technologies didn't exist before. So I think the AI experience for the product companies might have the same type of evolution over time.
Yep, great answer. Tom, I'm going to give a quick answer and then we're done. We can go back to you. I agree that FOMO is probably the wrong word. I do believe that if you don't pay attention to AI at all in 2024, at the end of 2024, you will still be in business. You will still be in business in 2025. I believe that over the next 5 years, the company that will put you out of business will be leveraging AI, and they will put you out of business because they are faster and more efficient and probably pass savings on that you cannot do unless you're leveraging that same kind of stuff. It just you can't keep up at some point. It'd be like using an abacus instead of Microsoft Excel. There's a point where technology just kind of changes, and if you're not, if you're hand creating Photoshop images when all it takes is a click to do it in some other tool, you're eventually going to run out of opportunities, right, to do that. I think that's my answer. All right, Tom, I think we're good.
All right. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Yes.
Great. Yeah, we got great work, everybody. Amazing conversation. Thank you so much. You drew some questions, so let's get to them. One is very direct and about a specific need. I have a client who seeks consumers who invest in precious metals. They would like to use AI voice response to answer 3 questions prior to being routed to a live expert. Can any panelist help or know anyone who's providing AI voice to qualify incoming calls?
I'm just going to put the company name out there because I know that Ignite does IVR and I know that they do AI. So maybe, right? Ignite's been in the DR space for a long time. I have no connection with Ignite, by the way. But I would also imagine that's a totally doable use case. Like I can't imagine that there's not a solution to that.
All right. Anyone else want to chime in?
No, just I think what Greg said, there's got to be a solution. I had watched this piece about a company with a very large global support team that's using AI to do the first level triage on inbound calls and then decides when they need to be transferred to a live agent. But again, I don't know the companies in that space, but it definitely seems like a case that could be solved. There's got to be, there's companies out there using.
The other company that comes to mind, and I don't know if they do the live call part or just the back end piece of it, is a company called Intelligent Handshake. Big data driven company, definite AI. I don't know if they check every box of that particular use case though, but definitely look it up.
Great suggestions, thanks. It seems like the ultimate goal of AI in the business-client relationship is to enhance capabilities, efficiency, and productivity of the offering while congruently improving the experience, speed, and outcomes for the client. The question is, on average, when it comes to this goal, are we there yet? Or is there a lot more work to do?
Ooh, I have an answer. Totally not there yet. AI chat is your answer to that. AI chat is there to reduce the business's costs. It's not there because it's a better experience. The best experience is to put you in direct contact with the employees that worked on that feature, right? But it's cost prohibitive to do that, not scalable. So, I think the businesses on certain features are 100% going for their own efficiencies, their own scalability, their own cost savings, and trying to make a user experience that doesn't tick you off too much so that you stop becoming a customer.
I would just pile on to Greg what you just said is when we get to the point when within you within 15 seconds, you're not ready to be like screaming agent to like get a live person.
Yeah.
Whoever has that experience, they're that much further along the path. And you're starting to see some of them, like some of them, I can't remember if it was United or like, where you're starting to, if you're trying to move your flight or whatever, they're starting to make it, and if they can improve that experience just a little bit,
Yep.
and it beats the hold time, they're on the way there. But as it stands today, it's what you said, Greg, it's to save money.
Yeah, 100%. And the other thing too is that there is a big plus to the customer is that there are bad support reps, right? There are bad contacts that you would deal with, that you get a lousy answer and you accept that answer as truth. But if it is something that, let's say an AI chat, if done correctly, so let's assume it can be done correctly, so let's assume it is done correctly, you can get the right answer 100% of the time, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, without having to wait on hold. You just get the right answer. And yeah, I mean, that's a huge benefit, but it has to be done correctly, and it can be. I don't know if everybody does that. Probably not.
Great. All right, two more. First one, give me a prediction. What current and ongoing AI machine learning project in your business will become the most important to your customers by the end of the year?
Ooh. Ranjit, you go first.
I think for Amazon, I mean, obviously we don't develop the technology. We use the technology that's developed by companies like Amazon. But I think we would use the AI for three things: advertising, make the advertising more efficient; listing quality, which includes the content of the listing, the keywords that we use. We already use a bunch of tools, and they're all moving towards adding more AI, right? So figure out what keywords should be used in the title of the product that will resonate with the customer, would give you the most number of searches, would give you the most conversion ratio. And then the content images, right? Images we make for the companies that have brand registry, we make their storefronts, we make their A+ pages, and having compelling content that's generated by AI is going to be very helpful for us. So I think those are the three areas we would probably be doing any day as soon as the technology is available to us.
Michelle.
I think one of the solutions that I touched on earlier that is going to be a game changer for the industry and for us is the solution that taps AI to really enable our clients to gain money back that they would have lost. That is definitely a game changer. So I would say by the end of this year, that's going to be the newsmaker for us.
Great. Ranga?
It's a hard one for me to answer. I think so. I'm gonna reserve on my prediction for that one. So I don't know if I can answer it for end of 2024.
All right, I'll answer. Buyist. We're working, and we'll soon be announcing Buyist Pro, which is you cannot do your job faster, better, or safer. How's that?
Very good.
Nice. All right, last one. Another kind of big picture, forward-looking, and in the near term kind of questions. What do you believe the biggest impact AI has made to your particular business to date, and what do you think its biggest impact will be in the next 18 months?
I'll answer that with, I think one of the big ones that we've been really focused on is the best AI comes from the best data. And so one of the biggest focus areas for us is making sure that people have good data maturity. Instead of garbage in, garbage out, it's focusing on good data maturity, and that will really pay dividends for AI or otherwise. And so I think that's probably what I would say is probably the biggest, in particular for the next 18 months.
Michelle?
I think as we're gaining more and more trust amongst our clients, it's that hunger now to use our solutions for other use cases. Once you gain their trust and you produce the results, it's, the doors just open. because we're finding more and more use cases that they're sharing with us that we hadn't anticipated. So I think that's really for us a game changer, and for the next 18 months, it'll be interesting to see what other areas we get into.
Yeah. Ranjit?
Yep. So we depend on tools and technologies from a whole variety of third parties. And I think part of our challenge is to educate our customers that the new technologies are being available, because there is so much discussion about AI. The clients don't know what is useful, what is not. So part of our challenge is actually not only investigating what's out there, filtering it down, figuring out how it's going to work for clients, and then show some prototype beta kind of environment to see if their business works. So that's really the education for our perspective, educating our clients, learning first of all what's happening in the industry, and then educating our clients on what's going to benefit them. That's what we would expect in the next 12 to 18 months.
Yeah, I'm in line with those. I think in particular the next 12 to 18 months is when a lot of companies are going to get past that last 20% that I talked about earlier, where things looked super easy in the beginning and then it just takes a little bit more work than you would have thought. And I think those companies have been putting in the work for the past 12 months, and I think things are really going to start rolling out that are going to be meaningful and impactful. Definitely.
Well, that's great. Thank you all for your time and your expertise today. A really wonderful conversation. We're excited that we're able to present it. We're excited to tell the folks who are still here, if you missed any of it or you want to rewatch any part of it, it'll be on our YouTube channel here in the very near future. We are out of time, however. We say thank you again to the E-commerce Council for bringing us the event today. If you're a PDMI member or would like to get involved, you can reach out to me directly to share your interest in any of our 7 member councils today. Your next opportunity to attend a PDMI event live online is next Wednesday, February 21st at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, when the Brown Response Council airs its latest episode of Take 20, a look at the state of data collection and data privacy. To register, please visit thepdmi.com/take-20. Finally, online registration continues for PDMI East, April 8th through 10th at Eden Rock, Miami Beach. Badges for performance marketers must attend an event of the spring are priced at just $3.95 for PDMI members and $5.95 for non-members. And if you want to stay at the event's host hotel at a deeply discounted rate, you need to act now. The PDMI's special room block rate of $329 per night expires on March 7th. Visit thepdmi.com/PDMI-East to get your badge today. Thanks again for joining us today. Thank you to all of our panelists. Be well. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.